Good day, everyone, wherever and whatever time you are listening to us. First of all, thank you very much for joining us for ICAEW orientation that is held for November 2025 session. So we are going to talk about how you can master your ICAEW case study. This is basically just an orientation. After that, we are going to start our live online session and recorded sessions as well. These are the contents for today's discussion. We are going to talk about a number of points. First of all, we will talk about what is case study structure, what is the structure of case study, what case study exam looks like. Then we are going to talk about advanced information. What is advanced information? What is the role of advanced information in ICAEW case study exam? Then we will talk about exam structure. What is the structure of case study exam? How many questions would be there? How many requirements would be there? And how you need to handle them. Afterwards, we will talk about the skills. What skills are required to make sure that you pass your case study exam? What about changes? Recent changes in your case study exam. We will have a look and we will discuss all of those changes. Then another important consideration, we will talk about why students fail basically. What are the reasons why students fail their case study exam? And finally, we will be completing this session by having a question and answer from all of you. So if you have any question, please hold your question or send me your question through chat box. Once this orientation is completed, then I will be answering one by one. Thank you. First of all, let's talk about the tutor. I am Numan Yakat, ACA ICAEW member since 2017. I have more than 10 plus years of experience of teaching, as well as more than 10 plus years of industry experience. I am also a fellow member of Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, commonly known as ACCA. I am a tutor at different online forums and approved learning partners of numerous professional certification. I am also a university lecturer. I also hold membership of Pakistan Institute of Public Finance Accountants. I am also a registered mentor at Oxford Brookes University since 2020. Last but not the least, I also hold Business Finance Professional, a prestigious certification from UK as well. So apart from that, I also possess MPhil Master in Philosophy from one of reputed institutions as well. I am also an author for research paper, multiple research papers as well. And these research papers have been published. So you should not be worried. Your case study would be in safe hands. Apart from case study, I also teach ICAEW advanced level and many other qualifications like CMA USA, CFA, ACCA, and so on. So without any delay, let's talk about the case study structure. If I talk about the structure of case study, the very first thing that we should understand that case study involves no technical knowledge. What do you mean by no technical knowledge? If I talk about the previous 14 exams of ICAEW, which involves accounting, assurance, business, finance, technology, taxation, and so on. So this case study structure does not involve any technical knowledge. Like you should not remember no IAS, IFRS, taxation rules, costing rules, financial management, or so on. So if there is no technical knowledge, then what is this? What case study involves basically? Case study is basically a skills based exam. You should understand what do you mean by this. Case study is basically a skills based exam where we can show our skills. We have to write a report in our exam. We have to write a report and we will be given 4 hours time. We have to write a report and we have to show our different skills basically. What are those skills? We will talk about those skills later on in this presentation. Another important consideration for case study is basically the advanced information. What is advanced information? We are just few minutes away to talk about the advanced information. Then we will talk about exam requirements. What are different requirements of exam? Because ICAEW case study has different exam requirements. And then we will talk about the ethical issue. So these are some important considerations. These are the cornerstones of case study structure. Basically, it does not involve any technical knowledge. It's a report writing exam, which involves multiple skills basically. Then it also involves the advanced information. It has different requirements, but one question. And then we have ethical issues, ethical concerns, professional business issues, basically. So ethical issues, professional and business trust issues, as we know that these are important considerations of all of 15 exams of ICAEW. Now let's talk about the exam structure. What is the structure of exam of ICAEW case study? In case study, we have just one question. And one question is for 100 marks. Passing marks are 50%. Passing marks are 50%. So you could be surprised because in other exams of ICAEW, we have different structure. But in case study, we have just one question and that question is of 100 marks. But passing marks are 50. But this one question is divided into different portions basically. First of all, we have requirement number one. What is requirement number one? Requirement one is basically about financial analysis basically. How we have to perform the financial analysis, we will discuss later on in our detailed session. But if I give you an overview, then financial analysis, we have been provided with financial statements for 3 years. We need to analyze those financial statements and then we have to perform some sort of our analysis as required by the examiner. When we have to perform analysis, when we have to calculate different ratios or whatever the requirement is, so we need to prepare an appendix basically. What is the appendix? Appendix is basically just like a table for financial analysis. What is going on? You have to show different changes. Apart from that, it also involves the twist. What is twist? Twist is basically some sort of surprise, some sort of unexpected requirement from examiner that might involve anything. Requirement number two. Requirement number two is basically about financial data analysis or FDA. What is financial data analysis? It means we will be provided with numbers. We will be provided with assumptions. And then we have to perform analysis. This analysis would be both financial analysis as well as non-financial analysis as well. So this is basically financial data analysis. So we will be provided with numbers, provided with data. We have to use the assumption that have been given to us in exam And then we have to perform analysis. Analysis would be both financial as well as non-financial. As we are talking about numbers, data, so we have to show our results in the form of an appendix as well. As I said earlier, it could also involve an twist as well, basically. Twist is some sort of unexpected requirement that is not usually part of your advanced information. Requirement number three. What is requirement number three? Requirement number three is basically about your business analysis, basically. Business analysis. This business analysis includes your strategic analysis. It also includes your financial analysis. It also includes your operational analysis as well, basically. So multiple aspects would be covered in business analysis, basically. This business analysis may or may not include an appendix. May or may not include an appendix as well, basically. It depends on examiner's requirement, what sort of requirement has been set, and how we have to answer accordingly. So these are three requirements. Requirement number one, financial analysis. Requirement number two, financial data analysis. Requirement number three, business analysis, basically. Apart from that, we also have ethics. And ethics could be tested in any requirement. Ethics could be tested in any requirement of case study, or ethics could be tested in all of your requirements, in one requirement, or in two requirements as well. So it depends upon examiner how your paper has been set out. So you have to be very careful about your ethical and business trust issues. So this is basically a structure, exam structure for case study. How many questions would be there? There would be just one question consisting of different requirements. Requirement number one, requirement number two, requirement number three, and then ethics. Last part of this structure, that is basically about executive summary. What is executive summary? Executive summary is basically a summary what you have written in all of your three requirements, what you have written in the rest of your exam, in your complete exam, that is your executive summary. So for executive summary, we have to produce a summarized version of our analysis. Either it involves financial analysis, financial data analysis, and business analysis, including ethics as well. So executive summary will include all of your requirements and ethics as well, basically. So this is the complete structure of ICAEW case study exam structure. As I said earlier, we also require some skills to make sure that we pass out our case study exam. There are five skills. There are five skills that are required by ICAEW just to make sure that you pass out your case study exam. First of all, the skill is basically assimilating and using information, or this is also called as A and UI. A and UI or assimilating and using information. What is this? This skill is basically getting information, identification of issues, identification of numbers, how we have to talk about. This is basically assimilating and using information. And it involves around 20% to 30% of your skills for your exam. 20 to 30% for assimilating and using information. There are detailed sessions on each skill basically. Obviously, when we will be going for our complete session, then we are going to talk about what do you mean by A and UI and other skills as well, as these involve comprehensive discussion basically. Second skill, that is basically structuring problems and solution, or this is called as SP and S basically. Structuring problems and solution. Again, the percentage is same, 20% to 30% basically. What is structuring problems and solution? This is basically next step of skill one, first skill basically. So we have to structure our problem. We should start providing little bit solutions to the problem. This is called as SP and S basically. Third skill, that is basically applying judgment, or it is called as AJ, applying judgment. So what is applying judgment? Applying judgment means we have to use our professional skepticism. This is called as applying judgment. Again, the percentage is 20% to 30%. 20% to 30%. This is third skill, applying judgment. Basically, we have to apply our judgment in analysis. Why numbers are changing? What are the reasons? What are the factors behind those changes? Moving forward, fourth skill, what we have, that is basically fourth, drawing conclusion and recommendations basically. Drawing conclusions and recommendation, the percentage is basically 15 to 20%. What do you mean by this? Drawing conclusions mean we have to provide conclusions basically. We have to provide conclusions for analysis. Again, this will involve both financial and non-financial analysis. It involves your requirement 1, requirement 2, and requirement 3 as well. If I talk about recommendation mean suggestions. Recommendations mean advice for business, advice for client, what you should do basically. Last but not the least, fifth one, that is executive summary. As I stated earlier, executive summary is basically a summarized version of all of your requirement. It is basically a brief summary of all requirements. That is executive summary, and the percentage is approximately 13%. So these are 5 skills that you require to make sure that you pass out your case study exam. Now, let's talk about the changes. What are changes? What were recent changes in case study exam basically? Let's discuss one by one. First of all, there are a lot of changes in marking key basically, because there are some new points are added in marking key, some points are removed. So it is very important to pay a huge amount of attention towards understanding of marking key basically. Second, exam paper. The style of examiner has changed. The requirements has changed in last few years, and you must be careful to understand each requirement carefully. You must understand each requirement. Now, what sort of questions are being asked by the examiner? How I should respond? How should I respond to them? Third, advanced information. There are a lot of changes in advanced information as well. Examiner goes for different styles, different type of information, processes, recent articles, issues, exhibits. So a lot of areas for advanced information basically. As we know that from last few years, our exam has been changed from manual to CB based exam, computer based exam as well. And now we have to provide our solution according to ICAEW exam software. ICAEW exam software. You should not be worried about this exam software as our sessions also include live session. Live sessions for training. We will provide you training for ICAEW exam software. There are changes in marking key. As I mentioned earlier, why I mentioned this point? Because it is very, very important. In case study particularly, you need to understand the marking key basically. Understand the marking key. The marking key should be in your head. How should I write my answer? Executive summary evolution. What is this evolution? Evolution means evolved. Now, executive summary involves new challenges. Why? Because we have computer-based exam and we should not just take some points from one of the requirements and then simply paste it as a part of executive summary. This will not be accepted as mentioned by the examiner. So what case study involves, what executive summary involves, you need to understand this point and you need to write according to the requirements of executive summary. Now let's talk about why students fail. Why students fail? There are multiple reasons why students fail. Let's talk about them one by one. Poor analysis. First of all, if you perform poor analysis, either of your advanced information or of your exam paper, then unfortunately, it looks like you are going to fail out your exam. So how to make sure that you perform a good analysis? So you need to understand the requirements very carefully. You need to think about what is requirement one, what is financial statement analysis, what do you mean by financial statement analysis, how should I perform this analysis basically. It is very important. Not understanding examiner's key, as I stated in my previous two slides, it is very important to understand the marking key because students take this case study exam like many other exams and they simply write it down for next 4 hours. But unfortunately, they might fail their exam because they do not understand the examiner's key. Coherence concern, yes, it is quite possible. It is quite possible. Your answers are not linked basically. In one paragraph, you are talking about one thing, but in next paragraph, you are talking about another thing. So it looks like there are some concerns in connectivity. Something is missing in your answer. So what you need to do, you need to make sure you go for a good practice. Someone should review your answers basically. Time management, yes, it is very important. Although case study is basically a 4 hours exam, but still there are a lot of challenges in management of this time. Why? The reason is that basically case study involve different pages, around 10 to 20 pages of exam paper. You need to read out in your exam and then you need to think, you need to plan your answer, and finally put it up on your exam software. So all of these things take time. You need to be very good with your time management. Poor exam techniques, again, one of the common reasons because you are not good with your report writing. You are not good with your report writing. You know the exam, you know the answer, but unfortunately, you are not able to produce on your exam hall. Unfortunately, that is one of the reasons. Not balancing the paper. Yes, it is one of the most common reason. Most common reason. Not balancing the paper. Why? Not balancing the paper and requirement three. I will take them collectively. Why? The reason is that basically you think you know too much about requirement one. As we know, requirement one is basically about financial statement analysis. We will be provided with the management accounts, 3 years management accounts, and we have to analyze them. But further, one new year management accounts would be given to us in exam hall. As we know, mostly we are good with numbers, with discussion. So we write too much with our requirement one and requirement two as well, basically. So if you write too much for any of the requirements or both of the requirements, then what will happen? It means you are consuming time for requirement 3. It is injustice for requirement 3. If it is injustice, then what is going to happen? Unfortunately, it's quite possible you may not balance out your exam. Your requirement 3 could be missed out, or you may not be able to produce a quality answer for requirement 3, or your executive summary could be at stake. So these are some reasons. So what you need to do, you need to understand how to make sure that you can balance out your exam. Lack of practice, yes, because students think it is just simple exam, simple information that have been given to us. I know this information very well, but no, my dear, it is very important to make sure that you go through some rigorous practice, basically time-based practice. Someone should review your answers very carefully and then provide you feedback. Requirement addressing, yes. Another concern is basically students unfortunately do not address the requirement carefully. Let's say if examiner ask about operating profit margin, then students are going to write about operating profit margin and many other points basically. Please be specific, because if you are writing extra or if you are writing irrelevant, then what is happening? It means you are going to waste your time. What will the impact? The impact is quite clear. Your other requirements could be suffered, your quality could be suffered, you may not be able to complete your answer, or there could be some poor executive summary. So if there is a poor executive summary, unfortunately, it is quite possible you may not be able to complete your all of your exam of ICAEW. Case study is the last exam of ICAEW. After that, you become chartered accountant. You become the member of one of the prestigious bodies in the world. So why you have to take that is you have to be good with your preparation, all of your skills and exam techniques. First of all, we talked about the reasons, we talked about the failures. Now we are going to talk about how we are going to study, how we are going to take this session for you. We have divided this session into two areas. First of all, we talk about study session. Then second, we have practice sessions as well. In study session, we are going to talk about understanding of case study. What is case study? The structure of case study, what you should do and what you should not do. Then we are going to look at previous case studies practice, previous advanced information of different case studies. I'm going to take you through exhibit by reading word by word, analyzing the case study, producing some analysis, and then we will go for the past paper practice basically. Report structure, we will talk about how you should write a report basically, how to start a report, how to close a report, what facts, figures, information you should write in your report. What about different sections basically? How you need to write them, how you need to label them. Because all of these activities contains marks. Time management, we are going to talk about the time management basically. How you can manage your time, how much time you should spend on each requirement, how to spend the time. How to spend time. In practice session, we are going to talk about the marking key. What is the marking key of examiner? Here the marking key means the ICAEW examiner's key, according to which your exam is marked by the examiners. Exam skills, obviously, we will talk about exam skills and exam grades basically. These are two different things, exam skills and exam grade. Exam skills, like we talked about few slides ago, E and UI, SP and S, AJ, conclusion and recommendation, and executive summary. These are exam skills basically. But if we talk about exam grades, then we have different types of exam grades like CC, completely competent, IC, insufficiently competent, ID, insufficiently demonstrated, and so on, basically. So we will teach you how you can try to score maximum grades in your exam. And then we will also talk about one of the most concerning issues, that is timeout. If your time is running out, unfortunately, due to any reason, so what you should do? So you should at least try your best to pass out your exams, basically. That is what you need to do. So we are going to give you some tips, but these tips would be at the last. Why? Because you should not apply them at your first phase. Another concern in study session, we are going to talk about the professional skills, basically. As case study is a skills based exam, so we will talk about the professional skills that you require, how to write the executive summary, particularly after the emergence of CB based exam. You have to be quite careful about executive summary. Balancing your exam paper, obviously, how you can make sure that you are quite balanced among all of your requirements. Requirement 1, requirement 2, requirement 3, executive summary, and ethics. Exam vocabulary, what sort of vocabulary you should use. Simply, you should not use too much difficult word, or you should not use too fancy word. You have to be good because you are talking about the business. It's a business report, basically. As we are having our session for November 2025, so what we are going to do in this session, we are going to analyze the advanced information for November 2025 exam. We will be holding multiple sessions to analyze the advanced information. First of all, as a tutor and a senior member of ICAEW, I will be reading each exhibit word by word in live session with all of my students. Then they will be going for their questions. At least for 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to analyze them. I will complete my analysis. Then I would request my students to complete their analysis as well. Then we are going to review the analysis of different students, what they have done right, what they have done wrong, how they can improve it, basically. So multiple sessions would be conducted for November 2025. Then we are going to hold them some practice sessions, basically. I will provide the feedback as a tutor. I would provide the feedback on each single script of every student, basically. And last but not the least, I would also give you some tips how you can prepare your exam file. It will involve your advanced information as well as your exam paper areas, your different requirements, how much you should write for one particular requirement, how much marks you can get, what about exam grades. So in our session, we will discuss all of these areas. We will be having our weekly session. Timings will be decided according to the mutual availability of both students and tutor, basically. So this is basically some sort of a reference. How do I provide you the feedback? This is basically a report of one of my students from earlier case studies who passed out his exam, like concerning about the length of executive summary. First of all, formatting, how something has been mentioned. What about terms of reference? You see, formatting concerns. That was not a requirement of exam. They have mentioned a figure $7590, but no one knows either this figure is in million, thousand, billions, or this figure in what currency. No one knows. This was due to a 41% increase in the number of sites from which the company operated. What do you mean by 41% increase? 41% increase as compared to previous year. Management accounts, budget accounts, your competitor, your industry. What is your reference? What is your reference? What is your benchmark? Again, spelling issues as well. Not during the year from 11% in the previous year, prior year. What do you mean by prior year? What was the prior year? Nothing has been mentioned. what is your current year? This is as a result of no, things are not quite clear. So in this type, I provide the feedback. I review each and every script of all of your students, then provide you comprehensive feedback how you should move forward. Thank you all of you for listening. These are the contact details. These are the details of my team members. You can contact them. Sometimes I'm also available there, so you can talk to me directly. This is basically the email. You can send us an email. And this is basically a Facebook page. So these are the contact details. Our website is also in the process of updation, and we will be making it live again. So that's all from my side. Thank you all of you for joining. I wish you good luck for all of your exams. Now it's a question and answer session.